Hello everyone. Welcome back to Introducing Literature, Module 3, Literature and Ideology, Lesson 7. We have gone through a narrative written by George Orwell in the few previous classes. The purpose of the narrative was to give you a training to read the text closely, not only to understand the superficial meanings, but the underlying meanings in it, to make you understand how power is exercised by the subject over the object. Or we can say that its purpose was to give you a training to trace the politics behind the text. Now, let us examine another narrative, which is a story written by Hansda Sauvendra Shekhar. It is called The Adivasi Will Not Dance. See the quote from the textbook. Let us read another story to see how literature unfolds and interrogates the way power designs both social relations and the relations between man and the environment. Pay attention how power designs social relations. How power creates social relations. Then how power designs relations between man and environment. Two statements are there. How power designs social relations, how power designs relation between man and environment. So power can design social relations between people in a society. It can also build relations between man and his surroundings. So keeping these two statements in mind, let us move on to the story The Adivasi Will Not Dance by Hansda Sauvendra Shekhar. So this is the writer. He is an Indian writer. He belongs to an ethnic group called Santals, one of India's Adivasi groups. This background is reflected in his fiction as well. So he is a representative of the Santal group, which is an ethnic group, Adivasi group. So he became a writer, and then through his books, he shared the experiences of the Santal people. Though Shekhar writes primarily in English, he also translates from Santali, the language of those people, to English, and Hindi to English. Okay. His important works are The Mysterious Ailment of Ruby Baski 2014, then Adivasi Will Not Dance Stories, a collection of stories 2015. So in the box you can see that Adivasi Will Not Dance Stories is a collection of short stories. The second book by Hansda Sauvendra Shekhar, it was nominated for the Hindu Literary Prize in 2016. As of September 2018, this book has been translated into Hindi, Marathi, Tamil and Gujarati, while the Malayalam, Bengali and Austrian German translations are forthcoming. So that's a short history of his book and he himself, and some additional information. The characters and settings of his stories are mostly from the community of Santhal people in the Indian state of Jharkhand, particularly in relation to coal mining in India. So, this is the background of this particular story as well. So, this is very important. The story is about Santhal people from Indian state of Jharkhand, especially particularly in relation to coal mining in India. Prominent themes include the condition of women. See, I'm not talking about this particular story. The theme of the general theme of story is written by Savendra Shekhar. So his stories portray themes including condition of women in a patriarchal society, poverty, middle class Santhal life, the situation of Adivasi people. I uh, gave it bold character because in this particular story we are dealing with the situation of Adivasi people. Then organized crime, tensions between traditionalism and modernity, the social damage caused by mining and sex work. So, we are moving on to the story. We will not be reading and explaining the story line by line, just like the previous one. I will explain paragraph summary and points that you should keep in mind. Keeping them in mind, read the story to understand and to enjoy. Pay attention to the details like this: who is the subject, who is the object, how power is exercised over people, etc. So, this is para 1. I'm only reading my explanation of it. You can read the para yourself, then listen or read the explanation. The story begins with the first person narrative of a person who belongs to the Santhal group from the district of Santhal Pargana in Jharkhand. So, first person narrative of a person. First person narrative means a narrative which tells the story with an I in it, in an autobiographical way. You might have noticed that there are stories in which the main character is I. Such a narrative is called first person narrative. So the story is narrated by a first person who is belonging to the Santhal group from the district of Santhal Pargana. The narrator uses the pronoun they several times. For example, they pinned me to the ground. They did not let me speak. They did not like me protest. We understand that they stands for somebody who oppresses the Santhals. The narrator's friends, musicians and dancers, were beaten by the police. The narrator was not able to help them. If he told his friends everything, they would have stood with him. They would have come out from their village to all over India. Thus, the whole world would have known the sufferings of the Santhal people. So, narrator did not tell something to his friends. If he had told his friends everything, they would have stood with him. They would have come out from the village to all over India. So the problem is that his friends are now beaten by the police. If the narrator had told them something, this would not have happened. Thus, those people, Santhals, his friends would have come with him to all over India. and the stories of sufferings of Sandal people would have reached the whole world. So that is the issue being discussed in the first para. Second para and third para are small ones. But the narrator did not share his plan with his friends. He went ahead alone. As a result, he was caught and beaten. He became helpless. Continuing, he feels that Sandals were foolish people. All Adivasis were fools. All through the years, the Dikku took advantage of the Adivasis. Dikku is a tribal word meaning both exploiter and outsider. Exploiter and outsider. Here we understand that they referred in the first paragraph is Dikku. Coming to para 4. In fourth para, we understand what did the narrator do? Narrator had did something, but we don't know what it is. In the fourth para, we understand what did the narrator do. What was his plan? He proclaimed, "We Adivasis will not dance anymore." That was his proclamation. We Adivasis will not dance anymore. The narrator felt that Sandals were being considered as dolls. They pressed the on button and the Adivasis were expected to dance beating their drums, while the land they dance is being snatched by the oppressors. The narrator proclaimed this to the President of India. He thought that the President will understand the issue. The President was from the neighboring district of Birbhum. The President meant here is Pranab Mukherjee. It was in this district that Rabindranath Tagore lived peacefully with Sandals. Narrator had visited Shantiniketan with his troupe for a program. Sandals were respected in Shantiniketan. So the narrator expected that the president from Birbhum will understand the pain of Sandals, but he didn't. So the problem is that the narrator proclaimed that we Adivasis will not dance anymore. The reason why he proclaimed like this is that the Adivasis were considered as dolls. They pressed the on button and the Adivasis were expected to dance in a wild manner, beating their drums. And the land they dance is snatched away from the people. Many Adivasis were uprooted from their native lands by the oppressors. So the narrator thought that the President of India will understand the problems of the Sandals. The reason why he felt that the president will be understanding, the reason is that president is coming from a district called Birbhum, the place where Rabindranath Tagore lived peacefully with Sandals. The narrator had visited Shantiniketan and Sandals were really respected there. So the narrator expected that the president also will be respecting them, understanding the pain, but the president didn't. So we are stopping here. We will continue in the next class. By the next class, read the paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4 from the text that we have explained here. Thank you.